Yeah, so the last one here is hemopoiesis. This is not, hemostasis is bleeding. Hemopoiesis is blood cell formation, and that's that picture I just showed you. Don't memorize that, please. In our red bone marrow, we have an endless supply of stem cells, which continuously make red blood cells and white blood cells for us throughout our life. Thank goodness, right? Erythropoiesis, which is the formation of red blood cells, occurs in the red bone marrow at the end of our long bones, and is regulated by erythropoietin, the hormone that regulates the amount of red blood cells produced. White blood cell formation, which is leukopoiesis, also occurs in the red bone marrow, but the actual mechanisms for it are in fact not well understood. And so somebody asked me a question this morning in micro. We were talking about disorders of the immune system, and the question was, it took me a second to get to think what the answer was. Yeah, I knew what it was, but for some reason the way it was posed to me was confusing. The question was, are there stem cells in our red bone marrow that can make new bone marrow? And I had to think about it for a second, and then I realized, well, yeah, of course that's what a bone marrow transplant's all about. And I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, because if you've ever heard about bone marrow transplants, you know, you hear about it in the paper all the time. Somebody needs new bone marrow because they probably have cancer, some sort of cancer, which is killing them. Like my friend Barb, she had a bone marrow donor, but unfortunately she died before they could do it. All they do is they take stem cells out, basically, and destroy your bad bone marrow and give you somebody's new bone marrow. And it usually saves your life, although not always. She was dying of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is her bone marrow is producing cancerous B cells, and you can't cure it. You can control it, but you can't cure it. The only way to cure it is to give the person new bone marrow. And she eventually got too sick and died before they could give her. She had a sister who was a perfect match for some reason. But so that's why people need new bone. When you hear about bone marrow donors, and somebody asked me today, oh, that's like that movie they made, and they said what the movie was about. And I went, oh my God, that was years ago. In Los Angeles, this made the news. There was a teenage girl dying of some sort of cancer, and she needed bone marrow, and they couldn't find a donor, and the parents conceived another child, just in the hope that the child would be a match. It was quite controversial for unknown reasons. I mean, it wasn't like they were going to put the kid up for adoption or something. So the daughter, the infant daughter who was born before the teenage